polar vortex, quite a contrast between where he is and where millions of Americans are right now. From the sunshine to the snow now, many Americans in weather's icy grip. Look at this video to our monitors showing the impacts of various parts of middle America. Norman, Oklahoma on the left, Kentucky in the middle, Kansas City, Missouri on the right. The impacts even felt all the way down to the southern border. So let's go live right now to CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdes. She's in Clarksville, Tennessee. I don't often see snow in Tennessee like that.
Reed, maybe an unusual sight for some, but I'll tell you, we know millions of Americans are dealing with those frigid temperatures. Things were already pretty bad, though, for neighborhoods here in Clarksville, and they could get a whole lot worse. Obviously, you see all the snow here, several inches of it just coating a lot of these roads. What I'm going to show you next, though, is the lasting impact we saw from a separate storm over the weekend that dumped 8 inches of rain onto streets like this. And again, we're several days removed from that storm. You're still looking at feet deep of water. This is surrounding some of the homes here. And if you'll notice some of the distance there, it's impossible for people to get in and out of their homes. Those kayaks parked in the driveway, that's what one family tells me they're using to get to the store and get supplies they need to get through the next several days. Be looking at single digits here in parts of Tennessee. Not good news for anyone here with all the snow on the ground, but there's a chance that all that floodwater could ice over, keeping it around for a whole lot longer.
My goodness, cold there, and we know that some Americans in the United States are without electricity because of this swath of storms. In fact, we've heard some governors say, look, get to a warming center. Talk to us about where people go in this cold if the lights are out and if the heat is out.
Yeah, the good news is that states like Tennessee and Kentucky, where a lot of those people who dealt with the flooding are now trying to find shelter. There are shelters that are open really because of both of these events, those back-to-back storms. So they know that they've got a place to go if they don't have the lights on, if they don't have heat, which sadly is a common thing neighbors here have told us they do not have and are trying to get fixed. But it's also kind of hard because you've got a lot of people who don't want to drive with roads that are icy and snowy like you see here. So I think there's a lot of people struggling right now to think of what the best decision is for them. Thankfully, of course, schools are closed, so that helps keep people maybe away from as much of the danger as possible. But I think all eyes at this point are what's going to happen with these floodwaters. Once we do start to see things warm up, maybe get more comfortable, there's a chance all the snow starts to melt and all that floodwater is going to have a really tough time receding.
Nicole Valdes, CBS News correspondent, bringing it to life in masterful ways. Nicole, it's so great to have you on CBS News 24/7. Hope to have you back. Thank you so much. So let's talk to Jessica right now. You've been watching this. It's so amazing to hear that this whole weather system cleared down to the southern border.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're dealing with the extreme cold warnings and watches issued by the National Weather Service down into the border of Texas and Mexico. And then we're also talking about severe weather sweeping across the south right now with a lot of moisture still to move off closer to the Carolinas as we head into the next 24 hours. I want to show you what that's looking like for us because we're talking about two different stories, but they all play a huge part together. We have that polar air mass that's sweeping across these states, and that's the extreme cold warning and watch that I just mentioned, all the way down into Texas and right back up into the Dakotas, where today feels like temperatures hit 40 degrees below zero. -16 over in Kansas City, 1 degree over into Chicago, just with that wind chill as a factor. But we dropped this real fast, and I want to show you also that storm system that continues to sweep throughout the states. As we head into the coming days, this will move offshore, but it looks like it's frozen now. But we are gearing up for more. It might show in a second. Better yet, let me show you behind me. We're going to track this storm right now because we're seeing severe weather anywhere from the panhandle of Florida all the way up into the Carolinas, with rain there and snow just to the north of it, closer to Virginia, all the way up into places like D.C. And as we extend into the next 24 hours, that pushes offshore, but this is after it brings in devastating conditions for some areas that had localized flooding like we just saw in Tennessee and all the way up into Kentucky earlier this week. So storm warnings are in effect right now throughout all these coastal regions. We'll continue to watch that system push offshore as we head into our Thursday forecast. Another thing to mention too, you saw those warnings issued by the National Weather Service down to the Texas border. We're also dealing with winter storm warnings and alerts widespread throughout northern Virginia, Virginia and all the way into northern portions of the Carolinas too. Now, as we head into the next 24 hours, we could see anywhere up to around 8 inches just along that coast near Virginia Beach. It is a very active storm right now, Reed, and as we head into the coming days, we'll actually be able to assess the damage, but this is after another major storm earlier this week. So one mess on top of the other.
People got to help each other and just try to not be exhausted, but I'm sure they are.
Oh, I can imagine.
Jess, thank you so much.